Victor Wembanyama just sent a message that should make every team in the NBA lose sleep.
I can assure you nobody has trained like I did this summer, and this is my best summer so far.
Those aren't the words of someone satisfied with being good. Those are the words of someone who tasted failure, let it consume him, and came back ready to absolutely demolish the competition.
I feel better, I look stronger, and the scale says I'm heavier, so everything is a green light.
After a blood clot scare ended his second season right when he was hitting his stride, Wemby didn't just recover, he transformed himself into something the league has never seen before.
My training this summer, it was brutal,
And if you think last year was impressive, you haven't seen anything yet. The injury that cut his sophomore campaign short wasn't just a setback, it was a turning point that Wemby himself called life-changing.
In the long run, I think it's going to be very beneficial because even though I don't wish it on nobody, it makes you understand lessons that nothing else could have made you understand.
What people forget is that before that injury derailed everything, Wemby was already proving he belonged in conversations with the absolute best players on the planet. After a rocky start to his second season, where critics were saying he looked lost on offense, questioning if the hype was real, wondering if he had the skills to dominate in the NBA, something clicked. Over a 36-game stretch before he went down, Wembanyama averaged 26 points, 11 rebounds, and 4 assists, while casually draining nearly 3.5 threes per game on 37% shooting. Let that sink in. A 7'4" center was pulling up from three like he was Steph Curry, and nobody could do a damn thing about it. You want to know how rare those numbers are? Only 2 players in the entire league averaged at least 25 points, 10 rebounds, and 4 assists last season. Their names? Nikola Jokic and Giannis Antetokounmpo. Just 2 of the top 3 MVP candidates. But it gets even crazier when you add in Wemby's defensive dominance. He was averaging 3.8 blocks per game during that stretch. Only 4 players in NBA history have ever averaged 25-10 with nearly 4 blocks per game in a season. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Hakeem Olajuwon, Patrick Ewing, and David Robinson. Every single one of those legends was in the MVP conversation during those seasons, and Wembanyama was doing it in his second year. But here's where it gets wild. If Wemby was putting up MVP-caliber numbers, why did the Spurs end up with another top pick? Why were they sitting at home during the playoffs? The answer is simple but crucial to understanding what's about to happen this season. Wembanyama can't play 48 minutes a night, and when he sat down, the Spurs fell apart. In those games where he was putting up monster stats, San Antonio was plus 120 in his minutes on the floor. They had a net rating of +3 with him playing, which would have ranked 11th in the entire league. Their defense was top 10, their offense was above average. They were legitimately a good basketball team when Victor Wembanyama was out there. The problem? When he went to the bench, they transformed into one of the worst teams in basketball. The defensive drop-off was particularly brutal. With Wemby on the court, the Spurs were a legitimately elite defensive unit. Without him, they were competing with the Utah Jazz for the worst defense in the league. He was single-handedly the difference between a playoff-caliber defense and a historically bad one. That's not hyperbole, that's just what the numbers show. And this is exactly why the Spurs went out and grabbed Harrison Barnes.
Barnes fakes the 3, drives, Barnes fouled, somehow slipped it up and in.
And Stephon Castle.
Steph calling for a lob, and they got it to him!
Why they made sure to add some actual NBA-level depth. Because if they can just be mediocre instead of terrible in those non-Wemby minutes, everything changes. Now, can he guard Jokic, Embiid, or Giannis one-on-one? Not consistently, but here's the thing. Nobody can. There isn't a defender alive who can shut down those 3 guys. They're the best players on the planet for a reason. But Wemby has shown flashes of making even them uncomfortable. Jokic himself said it. I think he's better this year than last year, and I think he's going to get even better. He's going to be remembered forever. With the added strength Wemby put on this summer, those matchups are about to get a lot more interesting. Because the one thing those elite big men could exploit was Wemby's lack of weight and strength. Well, that advantage is shrinking fast. The training with Hakeem Olajuwon this summer isn't just some cute storyline. It's legitimately going to change how Wemby operates offensively. Hakeem is arguably the most skilled big man to ever play the game.
Put a little dream shake. Work on Bryant, turns to the outside this time. Trying to turn baseline.
And he's been working with Wembanyama on post moves, footwork, counters, and reading defenses. Imagine Wemby's already diverse offensive game, which includes pulling up from three, handling the ball in transition, and throwing down lobs. Now add dream shake post moves and a refined hook shot. How do you defend that? Last season, Wemby became the first center in NBA history to make over 3 three-pointers per game. Not just attempt them, make them, at a 37% clip, which is legitimately good shooting. And that shooting gravity completely changes how defenses have to guard the Spurs. Watch film from last year, and you'll see big men sprinting out to contest Wemby's threes, which leaves the paint wide open. You'll see defenses scrambling to recover because they're not used to guarding a center 30 feet from the basket. That hesitation, that split second of confusion, is all Wemby needs to put the ball on the floor and attack closeouts. He's comfortable shooting it, comfortable driving it, comfortable making the right read. For Wemby to actually win MVP this season, a few things need to happen. The Spurs need to win at least 50 games, which sounds like a lot, but is actually doable if the non-Wemby minutes are even slightly competitive. He needs to stay healthy, which is always a concern for a 7'4" player who moves like a guard. He needs to continue improving his efficiency and decision-making in clutch moments. And he needs to beat Jokic, Giannis, or Embiid head-to-head in a few marquee matchups. That last one is crucial because voters love narratives, and the narrative of Wemby is ready to take over only works if he actually takes over in those big games. The preseason footage we've seen so far backs up everything Wemby said about his improvement. He looks noticeably thicker in his upper body and legs. He's moving with more confidence and aggression in the post. His shooting mechanics look even smoother. The Spurs have been experimenting with him handling the ball more in transition, running offense through him at the top of the key, even letting him facilitate from the high post like a point center. These are all wrinkles that Pop and the coaching staff are adding to make Wemby even new unpredictable. And if you're an opposing coach trying to prepare for San Antonio, good luck figuring out what they're going to throw at you on any given night. The Western Conference is absolutely stacked, which actually works in Wemby's favor from a narrative standpoint. If the Spurs can claw their way to a top 6 seed and avoid the play-in tournament, that's a massive accomplishment. If Wemby can put up numbers close to what he was doing before the injury while leading his team to the playoffs, he's going to get MVP votes. Maybe not enough to win it, but enough to establish himself as a legitimate candidate. And that's all this season needs to be. Proof that the hype is real. Proof that the ceiling is as high as everyone thinks. Proof that the rest of the league needs to start taking San Antonio seriously again. Victor Wembanyama just turned 21 years old. Let that age sink in for a moment. He's younger than most college seniors. He's been playing against grown men in the NBA for 2 years, and he's already one of the 15 best players in the world. He's already changing how teams build their rosters and design their offenses. He's already forcing coaches to completely rethink their defensive philosophies. And he's telling everyone that this summer was his best one yet, that he's bigger and stronger and more skilled than ever before. If you're a fan of the other 29 teams in the NBA, that should absolutely terrify you. Because if this is Wemby scratching the surface, what happens when he reaches his prime? What happens when he's 25 years old with 5 years of experience and a fully developed body? The league might not be ready for what's coming. Actually, scratch that. The league definitely isn't ready for what's coming, and Victor Wembanyama is about to prove it.
I can assure you nobody has trained like I did this summer. and this is my best summer so far. Like